The problem with knowledge: aging with humor. Sometimes it's impossible to figure out why strange world events happen. And it's equally baffling why they get attention. Perhaps the problem is that the media enjoy bizarre news items because they are tired of reporting regular boring news. How often have we heard about floods? Boring, right? Why do people build homes in flood zones? Why do municipalities allow zoning that permits homes in flood or hazard zones? Some time ago, a pastor of a small, non-denominational church in Gainesville, Florida, planned to host an International Burn a Quran Day on the anniversary of the September 11th attack. I'm not surprised that he and his 50 followers exist, but I'm astounded that he has commanded world media attention. Are we hurting for news? This group exceeded Andy Warhol's 15 minutes of fame span. There are other fundamental issues that surprise me. My spouse and I sit outside at a table enjoying lunch, and a brown squirrel joins us. To our amazement, it unearths a walnut buried in the lawn. It chips away at the outer layer and eventually gets to and eats the core. How did it remember where that nut was buried? This creature's brain is smaller than that of the aforementioned pastor, the gun-toting theological marshal of Gainesville. How does the squirrel do it? I can't remember where I left my glasses. Often, I can't find my walking cane, and I have 2 of them. Car keys are easy. We hang them up, usually. Once in a while someone, me, forgets them inside my pants pocket, and this results in near panic attacks. What pants was I wearing? Oh my goodness, might they be in the wash? Maybe they are in a coat pocket. What coat was I wearing, and why did I wear that coat in the first place? Recently, a gentleman in charge of obtaining speakers for retired GM workers sent me an email in which he asked if I would speak to them. This surprised me. I often speak to groups, but I replied to the retired GM exec that I would be pleased to speak to his group again, but that if he remembered correctly, I had just done a talk with them a few months earlier. These things happen. Maybe most of the GM types had forgotten my talk already. They were more into automobile assembly. Obviously, he had. I suppose that I could give the same talk, and they would hear it for the first time. My spouse and I are now at the point of re-watching TV programs. Often, we recognize the fact that we might have seen the series before, but just as often, we can't remember the details. Wasn't there a movie starring Bill Murray that was based upon this concept? I now type memos into my computer to remind me about things. My spouse writes everything down on errant pieces of paper scattered throughout the house. There is no foolproof solution, but getting back to the squirrel, these impulsive creatures also regularly get run over by cars and trucks, yet they know precisely where they left their nuts. Go figure, as one of our daughters might say. Much smaller than the squirrels in terms of brain capacity. How do petite butterflies make it all the way to Mexico and back? It's hard enough to get on an Air Canada or Southwest Airlines flight and be reunited with your luggage. Last night, we experienced a thunderous electrical storm with heavy rain. Where do butterflies hide to get out of that pounding downpour that would surely rip apart their cellophane-like wings? Many years ago, there was a brief period of time when I thought that I was exceptionally smart. However, my children constantly reminded me that my 2 arts degrees and 1 postgrad degree are all meaningless compared to their science degrees. I believe them. They could probably explain the business about squirrels and butterflies. Perhaps, if Hindus are correct, I will return in a future life either as a squirrel or a butterfly. I'm not sure which I would prefer. The roadkill turns me off the hazardous life of a squirrel despite the sure knowledge of the whereabouts of its nuts. The butterfly engages in travel that is nuts. I suppose I could join the Gainesville pastors' congregation who are all nuts. Sometimes, looking out the window on a beautiful, sunny afternoon can surprisingly cause one great anxiety accompanied with dreadful existential questions. Sometimes, it's wise to stay in bed and not contemplate squirrels and butterflies. Someone once said that the more that you know, correspondingly, the less you know. Thinking about that complicated conundrum can drive me crazy. Why bother to take life extension courses offered by community colleges, universities, or school boards? They will just make me know less and less. And sometimes, the less you know, the better off you are. That's the Ignorance is Bliss school. You see these adherents often in court. I didn't know my spouse was a murderer. My boss was a fascist. My political representative was a racist. I didn't know. We exist in a strange world with 24/7 access to the news. My spouse contends that a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. I think she is on to something. Aging with Humor by The Retirement Coach is a YouTube video channel that takes a light look at life for the +50 set. To create my YouTube videos, I use AI software called Pictory. At https://pictory.ai. Ref equals KNQW7. They offer 3 5-minute freebies, and it's easy to use, provides voiceover, captions, and great video pictures to accompany your text, so give it a try, if even for the freebies. It's a good way to add promo spice to your website, FB page, etc. And I appreciate your subscriptions at no cost, as well as your support.